It's a long way to the top. If you want to rock and roll, you want to rock and roll? Driving on the highway, going to a show. Stopping on the byway, playing rock and roll. Getting round, getting stoned, getting beat up, throw a bone, getting high, getting shook. I tell you folks, it's harder than it looks. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. Ladies in the new one-night stands, try being a rock and roll man. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll.
Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Caden Reif, and welcome to another installment of the 2005 season of the NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series. Just 4 races to go here today as we take you tonight to Rockingham for the Pop Secret 400 for 110 laps from the Rock here in North Carolina as we take you trackside for the starting lineup for today's race, as it will be pole sitter Greg Biffle in the 16 car, side by side with Jeremy Mayfield in the 48 on the front row here today. Looking down the rest of the order, as Ryan Newman in the 12 will start from 3rd place, and Chad Little will start this race in P4 on the outside with the 12. 5th place goes to Kyle Busch in the 19, and Kevin Harvick will be starting from 6th. 7th goes to Jeff Gordon, and 8th place will be Ricky Hendrick in the 5. Bobby Labonte will be in 9th place, and Matt Kenseth in 10th. P11 will be Jamie McMurray, and 12th will be Kurt Busch. 13th goes to Mike McLaughlin in the 00, and your points leader, Casey Kane, starts from 14th. 15th will be the 2-car of Kenny Wallace, and 16th will be Robbie Gordon in the 31. Mike Bliss starts from 17th, and Buckshot Jones in 18th place. 19th will be Tony Stewart, and 20th goes to Carl Edwards. 21st will be Dave Blaney, and Terry Labonte getting the start in the 55. He'll be 22nd. 23rd is going to be Scott Riggs, and 24th, Casey Atwood. 25th, Todd Bodine, and John Wood on the outside of him. 27th will be Jeff Burton, and John Andretti qualifies in 28th. 29th goes to Johnny Sauter, and Don Thompson Jr. in 30th place. 31st will go to Dale Earnhardt Jr., and 32nd will be Christian Elder. Brian Vickers starting from the 33rd spot, and Scott Wimmer in 34th. David Green from the 35th position. Hank Parker Jr. starts side by side with him in 36th. Jerry Nadeau in the 44 in 37th place, and Sterling Marlin in 38th. Derek Cope will be in the 39th spot, and Tim Fadua starts in 40th, and the final row goes to Robert Presley in the 41st position, and Morgan Shepherd rounds out the field in 42nd place. Take it to intermission here to skip this little intro as I forgot to accelerate the race here. But a very interesting race here today from Rockingham, and a long one, of course, a lot of laps here today. 110 from Rockingham, and yet another race in this championship hunt. We take you to the command here at the racetrack for the drivers to fire their engines up. 42 stock cars roar to life here from Rockingham. This race, it's really anybody's game here today, and Rockingham always the site of a race that can go very south very quickly. A lot of wrecks, especially on the backstretch here at this racetrack. Turn to a very difficult corner to get off of course. And as we mentioned, the championship never been any closer. Casey Kane enters this race with the points lead. He's got 65 points to Tony Stewart. Kurt Busch sits 77 behind in third, and Robbie Gordon 143 back in fourth. Ricky Hendrick 147 in fifth, and Jeff Gordon 159 in sixth. Coming through 3 and 4 here to start this race off with Greg Biffle on pole and Jeremy Mayfield in second with yet another race. 4 races left in this season. It's been a long one and great championship fight all the way through, but nonetheless, pace car going to peel off, and we take you to the green flag here from Rockingham for the Pop Secret 400, and we are underway. Ryan Newman, winner at this racetrack in the spring, wasting absolutely zero time to take away the lead, and the 12 will take first as Greg Biffle drops backwards on the start of this race. Kyle Busch to take P2 off of the race start, and Jeff Gordon into third. Ricky Hendrick in the 5 up and in the wall there. Ooh, very close there for a couple of championship contenders right next to him as well. Casey Kane and Robbie Gordon made contact off of turn 2. Very close to disaster there in that set of corners as the caution flag is out. Wrecked on the front stretch that last lap, as looks like Hank Parker Jr. was involved in an accident early on. Get a look at this one as the 4 went around on the front stretch. John Wood got a piece of that one as well. I believe he got turned there off of the corner. And get a look at this replay here. Ooh, yeah, just off the front bumper of the 0 car of Christian Elder, who got into the back of the 6. And he goes straight back into the wall and collects the 0. 23 of Wimmer in it as well as the 4. Hard crash early on as John Wood got turned there.
Yeah, and Wood has had a very solid season when given the opportunity, and that was a major hit into the outside retaining wall. No safer barrier in that particular part of the track as he collected the one who actually turned him around. So maybe not all so bad.
Yeah, tough break for Wood, who's had a tough middle portion into late portion of the season up to this point. So that'll bring out the first caution of the day. Early in the running here as Ryan Newman's led all the laps so far in the brief period of green flag that we had to start.
And now, I believe, under the caution, it's a good time to mention, in addition to keeping your nose clean here, there's not many tracks on the schedule where tire management matters more to these drivers. It is very hard to keep your tire life under control and be fast here at the same time, and that's going to be the key to getting up front and eventually being in contention to win this thing.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. So that is going to be a big focus for the drivers here today. A couple of drivers came down pit road to top off on fuel. 281 and the 26 all in the pits here early on, as 12 Ryan Newman will stay out to retain the lead that he took on that race start. We'll take it to intermission here from Rockingham with the 12 in first place. Back from intermission here at Rockingham after the quick first caution, and as we mentioned, Ryan Newman will be your race leader after the incident to start this race. Looking at the rest of the top 5, it'll be Busch, Gordon, Labonte, and McMurray, your top 5. A championship contender update as Stewart sits in 9th, Kevin Harvick is in 11th position, Kurt Busch 12th, and Casey Kane in 13th. Ricky Hendrick down to 20th after getting a piece of the wall there, and Robbie Gordon in between him and the 38. He'll start in the 15th position, heading up to this early restart. Newman, as we mentioned, won the spring race here and is off to a good start here today after being one of the better cars at Dover a couple of weeks ago and Martinsville last week. Don't exactly remember where he finished there, but was one of the quicker cars at Dover. But nonetheless, side tangent aside, back to the restart as they enter the box, and we are back green here, taking lap number 7. Newman gets away well.
Bonnie attempting the far outside, and it's not going to work. He gets passed by multiple cars as Mayfield gets by. Looked like Biffle brushed the wall there out of turn 2.
16 and 77 were in the outside wall on the start there. Everybody else keeps it clean. Kane gains a couple spots, as does Kurt Busch. A couple of the title drivers up there making some gains. Here's Kyle Busch underneath the 12 for the race lead, and the 19 is going to have first place. Although Newman trying to challenge back on the outside. They enter turn 3 dead even as Jeff Gordon follows the 19 on the bottom. New leader, give it to Kyle Busch, who has the first spot off of turn 4.
Gordon tried to follow him through there. He actually stuck his nose underneath for a brief moment, thought better of it, as McMurray right in the tire tracks too. And look at Mike McLaughlin in 4th place, a very good start for him.
Absolutely a great start for McLaughlin. He was injured a couple weeks back at Nashville and sat some races out, running mostly full-time in the 43 for Curb in the Busch Grand National Series, and he is making his first start back from injury in replacement of Michael Waltrip, who ran the Busch race down in Evergreen this weekend on this Saturday. The 23 car and the 16 came into the pits. Those are two drivers who were in the wall, so they're getting some damage repairs. Jeff Gordon still trying to fight with Kyle Busch for the lead. Still not able to get underneath the 19 for first. And we got problems as that is going to be a caution. 37 blew a tire right in front of the field and checked a bunch of guys up there, very nearly an accident. Everybody managed to slow up in time. That'll bring out the early yellow. And the
very lucky for the back quarter of the field and to not sustain any damage there. That was very close.
So
that's Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch going to retain the lead here. Jeff Gordon, despite the heroics he tried to put on, was not able to get around him, but will have another chance here on this restart.
Imagining these guys after a handful of laps completed here, and yes, they are going to come down pit road here. Lucky Dog will go to the 23, I believe. Not sure which of these two. It'll be one of Biffle or Wimmer to get the Lucky Dog, but here come the 19, 24, and the rest of the field to pit under this yellow flag. Race leaders down pit road. McMurray pulls into his box on the left there. Gordon into his as Busch pulls up not too far in front of the 24. Tires and fuel for everybody here as we have ourselves our first major pit stop here. Four tires and fuel, and Busch is away. Top 3 looking like they're going to remain unchanged as they exit the pits. And all these guys who were lappers here, at the very least 37 of Fedua, who just blew a tire, is going to stay out and be waved around in front of the leaders here. And the 23 of Wimmer will be receiving Lucky Dog. Take you to intermission once again here from Rockingham with Kyle Busch in the race lead. Back from intermission here at Rockingham, as Kyle Busch will be your leader. Your top 5 goes Gordon, McMurray, McLaughlin, and Newman. Great run out of that 00 car, as we mentioned. Stewart will start in 7th. Kane going to be back there in 10th. Kurt Busch 11th. And Ricky Hendrick climbs some positions. He's up to 13th, and Robbie Gordon will be in the 14th position. And the last of the championship contenders would be Harvick in the 29 car, who is going to be in the 8th spot. Off of turn 4, pace car peels off. Back into the restart box is the 19, and we will get underway once again. McMurray the next to try that outer line. Tony Stewart jumped up as well. These guys trying to keep it out of the wall. Ricky Hendrick gets the fence again. Scott Riggs right behind him in the wall as well. The 30 sideways. Atwood saves it. Another reek with Atwood getting very sideways and holding on. Basically one of the ones that made the flight all the way over here to run this race after the Busch race ran at Evergreen on Saturday yesterday. Not everybody making that flight.
That 97 of Carl Edwards made a pass on the apron there on Dale Jr. That was certainly a big move, and very lucky he didn't spin it.
Yeah, absolutely. That 97, get a look back at that one as they were all over the place on the backstretch here. Atwood getting into the 26, trying to avoid the 5 of Ricky Hendrick, and Carl Edwards decided, okay, I'll send it up the inside and take this opportunity, and painted that yellow line. What a move by the 97. He's up towards the top 20 now. He runs 19th. Jeff Gordon, a couple laps ago, just took the race lead from the 19 of Kyle Busch. Was one of the faster cars in the spring race here at this racetrack, and now up front, running in P1, Mike McLaughlin up to 3rd now is at 00, as Fado on the 37, who just made a pit stop, is going to rejoin the racetrack in the midst of these race leaders.
And Mike McLaughlin, what a run for him already in this day. I mean, there's still a lot to go, but that 00, he's gaining in on these leaders.
Ooh, 37 blowing up now.
It's a bad day gone worse for Tim Fedor.
Caution is going to come out as he is not going to make it back around to the pits.
It appears after 18 laps, his bad day mercifully comes to an end.
Caution flag back out again. Jeff Gordon holds the lead at the yellow flag. Casey Kane climbs some more positions. He's up to 6 ahead of both Busch and Stewart. Kevin Harvick into P5 as well. So we are under yellow yet again here at Rockingham. See if we get anybody coming into the pits this time. Looking like that will be the case for the 00 and 18, 01 and 20 coming in as well. Majority pitting, but some going to stay out here.
And with the now differing strategies, it'll be interesting to see how that will play out at the end of the race, or if it will equalize because of cautions. We'll see. But definitely a lot of strong cars here on pit road right now.
Yeah, a couple of guys that were in the top 5 coming in. A couple of championship contenders, both pitting and staying out. 20 and 01 came in for tires. And the 29 and 38, as well as the 24, all still out on the racetrack. Just a handful of cars stayed out. I believe it was around 10, all the way back to Biffle, who is going to get the lucky dog here. And McLaughlin going to lead this group of race cars off of pit road.
Looked to be a very good stop. He got out quite a bit further ahead than he was of the 18 beforehand under the pacing.
Tell you what, a little bit of damage on the right front and the front end of that 12 car of Newman. Gonna get a look back at this, see if that happened. Yes, it did. That was Atwood coming into the pits right in front of the 12, and nowhere for Newman to go as he ran into the 30.
Chad Little very close to getting a piece of that as well, but didn't look like he sustained any damage.
So Atwood going to be in the pits for a prolonged period. We'll take you to intermission once again. 24, your race leader here. A lot of cautions early here at Rockingham. Back once again here at Rockingham. Top 5 this time behind the 24 of Jeff Gordon will be Bush, Harvick, Kane, and Johnny Saunders. A 68 stayed out for some track position there. Back to McLaughlin as the 00 is the first car in the pits. 8 cars stayed out. Jeff Burton in the 99, the last of them to stay on the racetrack here as the pace car will peel off and we'll get back underway once again. Pace car in, 24 to lead the field to the green here as we head into the restart box, and we are underway once more here from Rockingham. Labonte jumps to the outside back there, going to be another one of the ones to watch out as the 18 is going to go straight into the wall. Always a problem to keep it out of the fence on the restarts at this racetrack.
Looked like Kenny Wallace back in the wall.
Then they're going around in the back. Atwood into the wall. Dale Jr. up and over as the 8 car.
Junior tumbles once, comes down on all fours, very nearly hit again by Scott Wimmer. But scary crash down the back straightaway. That backstretch wall, it can do that. It's actually built at an angle, so it's not terribly uncommon to see that.
So up and over goes the 8 of Dale Jr. Jr. skipped completely on accident, but 8 car, one of the ones that got the fence there in 1 and 2. Again, it's very difficult to keep it out of the wall on the restarts, especially if you're jumping high. We've always seen that at this racetrack. He gets tagged by Wimmer, who overdrove the corner there. Atwood also involved in it, and the 8 goes up and into the wall and flips over with help from Christian Elder. Greg Biffle also got a big piece of the inside wall. He was just back on the lead lap with the lucky dog, and nowhere for him to go, straight into the inside wall. Dale Jr. up and over is the 8 car. And a tough accident for him sends him up on his lid, something that we are not unfamiliar with at this racetrack.
Yes, but luckily he appears to be all right. But on the backstretch there, again, that wall is at an angle, so when cars get turned into it, they very easily can roll over, and you know, you hate to see it. But it is a byproduct of this racetrack.
I'm going to see the top 8 drivers that stayed out under that last caution pit in this time, as well as the 12 of Ryan Newman, as he's going to look to get damage repairs after the incident under caution earlier. A couple of extras going to come in as well, 57 and 5 into the pits yet again. So Casey Kane, your points leader, maybe caught the short end of the stick on strategy here, as he's going to be towards the back end of the field now, thanks to pitting with so few drivers.
As a result, Mike McLaughlin will assume the lead. Well, that car has been quick today. We'll have to see what it can do in clean air, but a very, very good opportunity for Mike McLaughlin here to gain some respect from a lot of these championship guys.
Yeah, 00 in the right spot at the right time. He'll lead the field here as we are under caution once again here from Rockingham. A lot of yellows will take you to intermission yet again. Back yet again here at Rockingham as the 00 Mike McLaughlin will have the lead on the restart here. It'll be Kurt Busch, Stewart, Little, and Mayfield, your top 5. Looking back towards the drivers who pit under that last caution, as Jeff Gordon will be starting in 26th, the first of the drivers who came down pit road that last time, Casey Kane in 27th. So we'll see how those cars fare in the mid-pack and if they can make up some positions after losing all those spots thanks to pitting in off schedule with the rest of the drivers who are in the lead up in front of these guys. 00 to lead the field to the green here as the pace car will peel off towards the restart boxes. McLaughlin, and he will take the green flag from first place. Stewart jumps to the outside. Kurt Busch gonna block him. 01 got a piece of the wall. Bush into the fence. Yet another driver that gets the wall here. Nobody will get into him. Everybody in the back stays clean.
Oh, Morgan Shepherd.
Where is that 89
Running
car?
with the-
Let's have a look.
Running with the big guys.
In the mid-pack here, in the middle of 3 wide almost. Ooh, contact there as the 44 got out of the gas early. That'd be Nadu. Almost got hit there in the turn number 1. Casey Kane, Harvick, and Gordon trying to pick up some spots on the bottom. Moving back into the top 20. But needing a lot more than that. Meanwhile, up front, as it is McLaughlin and Chad Little, your top 2 at the moment, who are long gone from the rest of the field.
How about that?
Not every day
Very
you see something
impressive.
like this.
2 guys that have really needed a good run. And boy, are they. Fantastic showing from these 2 so far, as they have looked to continue to pull a gap on Matt Kenseth.
Kenseth in frame back there trying to catch up to these 2 leaders. It then goes Labonte and Stewart. Jeremy Mayfield runs into 6th position. Dave Blaney with a nice run so far. He's into 7th. Todd Bodine, who's been towards the top 10 the last handful of races, runs back there as well. Mike Bliss in the mix as well. Harvick, Gordon, and Casey Kane all still battling amongst themselves at the back end of the top 20. Still trying to pick up spots from where they run right now.
As they have struggled a little bit to move through traffic with the new tires, you have to wonder, the more they struggle in the traffic, it will eventually eat up their tire advantage, so they need to get a move on here.
Not too much of a tire advantage given that they only ran a couple laps under green on the tires is the field in front of them that stayed out on that last caution, but a couple laps still makes a difference here as we are still fighting hardcore in the back end of the top 20. Up front, Matt Kenseth up into 2nd place as he gets past the 28 of Chad Little.
We're going to try to shut the door on Labonte here, not quite able to do it. Is going to stay clear though.
Through 3 and 4 as Tony Stewart gets around his teammate for 4th. Mayfield into the top 5 as well, slipping past with help from the 20, opening the door for him on the bottom. Kenseth with sights set on McLaughlin, but that 000 still has a pretty significant lead right now. We'll see if Kenseth can close him up for the first spot.
And, you know I've talked about it a few times, but Mike McLaughlin, just a very impressive run today. Qualified up near the front, moved his way forward at the beginning of the race, now assumed the lead out of pit cycles, and has pulled a gap on many, many top drivers. Very impressive.
Absolutely a statement run for him back from injury. This is his first race back since Cup Nashville a handful of weeks ago, and to lead the race of all things is definitely an impressive run for him so far, but that gap shrinking as Kenseth continues to try to close up, but nonetheless, led laps today. No matter how it ends, it's been a fantastic race for him up to this point.
Kenseth now going to attempt to make a move, not quite able to get there, but their top 4 now under a blanket for the top spot. Little and Stewart up the racetrack. Kenseth able to paint the bottom a little more and is now going to make a move for the race lead.
17 underneath, and Matt Kenseth is going to take away first from that 000. Little fellow Ford follows behind. Stewart still working on the 000 in 3rd place. And we'll have that move completed as the 17 assumes the lead. Coming up to 40 laps completed this time as Kenseth pulls away off of turn 4 that time.
Yeah, he really got a good run there. It looked like Little had to get out of the gas for something. Now Stewart looked underneath. Not quite able to get there, but had a peek. Jeremy Mayfield now looking to go underneath McLaughlin as McLaughlin has started to go backwards here.
It's a tragic way for his run to start to fiddle out, but nonetheless, led laps made a statement. He falls all the way back down to 8th as Mike Bliss in the 81 car. One of all three Joe Gibbs cars in this top 10. Running up front in this mix for the race lead, though Kenseth still absolutely running away with it right now. Has put a gap to Chad Little in second, and a little bit of a buffer to Stewart, who runs third, trying to close up to that 28. Check back on Casey Kane, who has charged through the field now. He's up to 12th, working on Don Thompson Jr. for the 11th position at the moment. And that 38 looking very quick right now, and making up the deficit that he had with all the track position. Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon has gone nowhere. In fact, he's gone backwards now, all the way outside the top 25. Kevin Harvick has stagnated around 17th, so Kane breaking away a little bit from the rest of the drivers who pit under that caution.
Yeah, the points leader, Casey Kane, the championship really can't get much closer than it is right now. Every spot matters, and Casey Kane has proven to have a very good piece underneath him. You know, right now he's quite a bit back from the top 10 just based on elapsed time, but that 38 is very quick. It would not shock me at all to see him in the mix for the win when this thing's all said and done.
We've seen some pretty ridiculous comebacks and speed in general out of the 38 the last couple weeks, and today looking no different, as he was up in the mix for the lead earlier and now trying to find his way back into the top 10 as we run. Matt Kenseth still out front. It is a comfortable gap between all of the top three, but Stewart has Mayfield and Labonte breathing down his neck in this little mini pack here from third on the way back to 7th. Couple of drivers in this mix right now, and Stewart second in points anyway today, not really helping Kane's case as he runs a little bit further back, and Kurt Busch also a handful of positions behind the 20. He runs 9th right now, but nonetheless not too far behind the 20. But again, as you said, every point and every position matters at the moment.
Yeah, and now with the race starting to go green more, that's where you start to see the tire management start to matter more and more for these drivers. Looks like Kenseth has dropped off a little bit. Chad Little's found some speed. Could challenge for the lead here, and in literally any moment he could pull up and pass the 17, but not at the moment. Clearly, he falls quite a ways back to Tony Stewart, which will allow Kenseth to start pulling a gap once more. But the tire management certainly going to play a factor now that we start to go green. We'll have to see how these drivers manage that.
And Chad Little a little better off a turn 4 that time. These guys now nearly a second and a half off their best times on these tires that continue to wear out. Rockingham always infamous for that, so it's just a matter of trying to find grip at a place like this that just eats away at your rubber. Matt Kenseth seeming like he was struggling a little bit there, but then Little had a bit of a moment, and Tony Stewart pulled up to the 28. Top three unable to make any moves on each other as of yet, but Little with a run there in the middle of turns 1 and 2, sitting on the back bumper of the DeWalt 17 down the backstretch.
And if you've noticed, the groove has started to move up a little bit from where the race started. At the beginning, they were really just trying to paint the line, but now they're starting to move towards the middle of the racetrack. You have to wonder if that's to try to find some grip, find some runs with the tires. With the tires wearing as much as they are, they have to try to find some speed here. Little trying to run a little bit further off the bottom than Kenseth recently, but that time going to go further down to the bottom.
Yeah, it is a matter of trying to find grip at this racetrack, as you said, and of course the groove does move up a little bit. That's more just these drivers kind of missing the corner as the grip just deteriorates. It goes away from you so fast at a place like this, and it's difficult to really hit your lines. We've seen Tony Stewart miss the corner a couple times in a row, especially in 3 and 4. You see these guys running a little higher on corner exit. Although it is a search of grip as equal as it is just mistakes, really just it's trying to find what works. Pretty much everybody runs at a different spot. It's a different slot and a different angle into the corner for literally any driver. You try to find that approach and find what works for you specifically, and what your race car tells you through the corners, and as the lap times continue to deteriorate, on average a second and a half slower at the moment. You got to expect these guys coming to pit soon. Pitting earlier helps on the short run, of course, but pitting longer might help you on the later run. It's a matter of finding which sort of setup works for you, and if you're pitting later, are you confident in splitting your way through traffic as the run goes forwards?
And as the groove starts to move up and guys start missing the corner, the last thing you want to do is let the car get loose underneath you, because if you crash here, you are going to hit something. This is not a track where you can just likely spin into the bottom and get it going. You will hit something if you wreck here, and it will be hard. So you really want to keep that car underneath you.
Absolutely, control of the utmost importance. Casey Kane has joined the top 10. That 38 car now running in the 9th position. He's been bringing Jamie McMurray in the 40 along with him for this run. These two slowly gaining some positions at the moment. He's got one of his title rivals in the form of Kurt Busch just up the road in front of him in 8th. And not a too long of a way in front is the top 7, but gonna be a while before Kane gets anywhere near those guys. He's gonna need all of the laps that are left in this thing to even think about closing that margin. But a lot of spread in this field right now, as it is still pretty much running in order. This top 7 hasn't changed a whole lot over the last 10, 20, even 30 laps. So it's just going to be a matter of biding your time today. Absolutely, it is difficult to make passes at this racetrack, especially on the longer run. So we'll see who ends up coming out on top of that, and just, again, being patient with it and finding the opportunities that work for you.
And as you try to be patient, you don't want to overstep that boundary as well, because it's very, very easy to make a mistake at this racetrack. You don't want to slide up into somebody or slide your tires really at all. So control as important as just biding your time. So you have to take your opportunities carefully, but you also have to push it to make passes since it's difficult. It's a very fine line for these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw getting too aggressive. Tony Stewart was trying to go around the outside of Chad Little for the 2nd position there and immediately lost time. Not a lot of grip up there in the marbles, and he's down 2 positions now as Mayfield passed him for 3rd and teammate Labonte for 4th. Looks like he's going to find a slot in line now. And might we be seeing some pit stops here? I believe we will, as Chad Little and Matt Kenseth, both the leaders, dove in there. Mayfield stays out to inherit the lead. Tony Stewart jumped on the opportunity to pass his teammate in the 18. Mike Bliss also right here with his 2 teammates, the 18 and 20. A lot of battles here, but these guys who stayed out are going to be coming in for their pit stops now. Casey Kane and others who pit under the last caution will go a lap or 2 longer.
It'll be interesting for Kane,
Kane's going to pit in here instead. Tell you what,
a lot of the
field
field
he gained a lot of
in.
time.
Very much did, and I was going to say if he stays out a lap longer, with the overcut and how fast that 38 is, you have to wonder how well it'd work out for him. But he does come in. Ricky Hendrick actually stayed out. One of the only cars I saw go by.
The 5 car stays out an extra lap to lead a lap. Important 5 bonus points for the 5 of Ricky Hendrick there, who takes a lap lead in exchange for maybe losing a little bit of time on the tires, but he'll come in from the pits now. Matt Kenseth rejoins the racetrack in the 17, and he was one of the earlier pitters, so we'll see where he goes with these drivers coming into the pits. Jerry Nadeau in the 44 drops a lap there. There's Chad Little. Mike McLaughlin, the earliest pitter. He was the first driver into their pit box and takes the shortcut to his advantage. He'll be in the 3rd position now. Still having a great run today as Kenseth now runs with some lap traffic to contend with. The 0 and 23 of Wimmer and Elder up the road in front of him. Both those guys with some damage repairs and missing their hoods. So Kenseth with the sizable lead now. Over to 2nd place Chad Little, who is not too terribly far behind at the moment. So Casey Kane in the 38 equals out his tires with everybody else on that pit stop. Decided to pit at the same time as pretty much the majority who came in at the same sort of time with those guys. He runs in 9th, not too far behind Robbie Gordon, Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, and others. So, trying to mitigate the damage, the 38 car.
We haven't talked about it much, but Don Thompson Jr., a very solid run for that 33 car.
Absolutely had some top 10 speed here today, is in the top 10 right now, has Labonte in the 55 behind, as well as him and Kane all in this mix, as Kane's going to drop a pair of positions thanks to Thompson Jr.'s overtake in turn 3. So drops a couple of spots. Again, points are important, and with all of his title rivals running further up the order than he is, it's a struggle to want to gain those positions and end up losing spots as he drops behind the 55 and 33.
And Casey, we know, has a fast car, but has to really hustle to get back up with a chance to contend for this race win. It'll take pretty much the entirety of the race to get back up to that position. But with that move from Don Thompson Jr., he lost really about a second. So every 10th matters at this racetrack. We've seen it's very difficult to get a move done, and you can't just sit and wait. If you see a chance to make a pass, you take it. Don Thompson did that. Casey Kane, unfortunately for him, the points leader, was the recipient of that, and now starts to fall back to Bobby Labonte.
Yeah, that 18 right behind, as well as the 40 of McMurray looming in the background. Kane maybe a little rattled after that move and not quite found his rhythm yet, as both the 55 and 33 have started to pull away from him. And the 18 pulls up to the back bumper of the 38. So pressure piling on, and of course Labonte's going to want to make that move on Kane to help out his teammate Stewart for the championship hunt. Kane going to have to try and hold him off for now. Kenseth still comfortably in front of this race. He's got a big lead now. It is 2 seconds to the 28 of Chad Little, who sits a ways behind. Tony Stewart is going to take away third from Mike McLaughlin. That 20 running about as well as he could ask for today to try and close that points margin to Kane that he had going into today.
Mike Bliss now going to try to make a move on Mike McLaughlin. Pair of Mikes battling for the 4th position. Bliss going to get that move done.
Problems for the
26.
A
very solid run for him.
As Todd Bodine has a suspension issue, and that is going to bring out a caution flag, as he's not going to be able to get it back to the pit lane, and that changes pretty much everything, as all these margins are going to get reset here. The 17 of Kenseth will lead the field to the caution flag. That big lead he had is going to be for naught, as the yellow flag flies, taking just 40 laps to go at the line.
We've seen on the restarts, cars get into the wall in turn 1, and that could really turn this race upside down, especially if a title contender is one of those.
Absolutely. So it's just been treacherous and treading water every single time. We saw both Ricky Hendrick and Kurt Busch have gotten the wall today on these restarts. So pit stop's going to take place here, and one driver that's absolutely going to be benefiting from this is Casey Kane, who will love the fact that that caution came up. That'll pull him right back up with all of the race leaders. Thompson Jr. in the 33 is going to stay out here. Not sure if he'll pit a lap later for the extra fuel, but he stays out to take the race lead as Kenseth leads the rest of the field down the pits. See who comes out on top, although Kenseth should easily come out with the lead off of the pit lane, as he had a pretty big margin with a couple of lap cars in between him and the rest of the field going into the pits. '17 is away. Little bit of traffic in front, but no worries for him as he pulls away in first easily.
Not look to be a great stop for McLaughlin there. Lost a few spots.
Yeah, absolutely. Fell down the order a little bit. Kane retains position in the pit lane as well. Scotland will be the recipient of the lucky dog under this caution. Don Thompson Jr. is going to stay on the racetrack, so the 33 will be your leader with the bold call. Older tires for him, but he stays out. David Green in the 21 also stayed out under that caution. We'll be right back here from Rockingham with the 33 taking your race lead. back once again here from Rockingham, as it will be, I believe, 36 to go on the start. Lap number 75 for your race leader, Don Thompson Jr. Him and David Green stayed out under that last caution to take the lead. Only 5 to 10 laps on those fresh tires, so we'll see what the difference is here. Matt Kenseth, one of the best cars and probably the best car on the racetrack, is going to start from third. Little and Stewart round out the top 5. The rest of the championship contenders is Kurt Busch is going to be 7th. Robbie Gordon in 10th, Casey Kane 11th, and Ricky Hendrick will be in the 17th position. Kevin Harvick in 21st, Jeff Gordon in 26th. Pace car peels off into the restart box. Thompson Jr. leads the field to the green here. We're back underway. Kenseth, one of the ones that'll go up the racetrack here. Robbie Gordon gets the fence early. Gotta watch out here for Labonte as he got around him. Everybody else got around cleanly.
Some reactionary moves on the backstretch, but no harm, no foul. Everybody gonna get through relatively cleanly. As it appears, Don Thompson still leads this race.
3 wide there into turn 1 as Tony Stewart jumped on the opportunity to take some positions away. That 20 moves into second place. Kurt Busch following right behind him in the 01. 2 championship leaders in this mix.
You'd imagine Casey Kane not at all thrilled by that.
Absolutely not, especially because he got stuck on the outside and lost a handful of positions on that restart. Not where he wanted to end up, and back down the order a little ways. Down to 13th, and with traffic in front, going to have to find some opportunities to make up ground.
David Green absolutely starting to fall like a rock, but Don Thompson Jr. hanging strong somewhat.
Has lost the lead now to Tony Stewart.
Tony Stewart has a pretty good gap on Kurt Busch in the 01. We'll see how that closes or gains, but Kenseth went up the track on the restart, now past Chad Little, so that's 17 very quick in traffic as well. We'll have to see how this plays out over the course of this run.
Kenseth's trying not to waste any time. He almost got underneath Kurt Busch for second, but couldn't quite keep the nose down there. Casey Kane has started to pick up spots again. He's looking to try to take 10th from John Andretti in the 43, heading into turn number 3. Will force the 43 to go uphill and take the lower line off of turn 4, side by side by those two down the front stretch.
And as Tony Stewart leads this race, the other 2 Gibbs cars are falling like rocks on the outside lane. They were stuck behind Thompson, now trying to move around them, but the damage is done.
Jeff Gordon has absolutely flown through the field on this restart, trying to pick up as many positions as he can after running in the back half of the order for that long green run. This opportunity has really given him a chance to cut back through the field on equal tires. And it's worked out for him so far, trying to gain some more positions. Kevin Harvick has moved upwards a little bit as well. Casey Kane is up a couple positions again, and now working on the 00 of McLaughlin, and gets right past him with Kenny Wallace in the 2 in tow. Up to 7th is the 38. Doing everything he can. Once again, damage mitigation. Kurt Busch has started to slip backwards as Kenseth has taken second, but it's a huge lead for Tony Stewart now.
Yeah, that's when he got the clean air and has started to check out. Matt Kenseth, we know, is very quick, and if anybody could gain on that gap, it would be Kenseth, but we'll see with the amount of laps that are left in this race. A little less than 30. You'd have to imagine there'll be another pit stop thrown in there. Kenseth had a very good stop last time, so it could very well come down to that.
We will see what the strategy plan is here with this race continuing to wind down. Casey Kane in the 38, again, we talk about him a lot, has made up another position on the 55 of Terry Labonte. He's now in the 6th spot and just a position outside of the top 5. I'd say that 38 is one of the better cars on the racetrack, but once again has had to fight track position all day long in order to make up those positions. But still, speed is beneficial, and he's closing on Kurt Busch now to try to take 5th.
At 38, very, very quick, but very likely, without a caution, will not be able to win this race. So he is a Matt Kenseth cheerleader at the moment.
no question about it, as he couldn't quite stay underneath Kurt Busch that time. Might have a shot in 3 and 4. Although no, Kenny Wallace going to duck underneath the 38 instead, doing him no favors as they're side by side down the front stretch.
He's got to try to get in here as soon as possible because Carl Edwards could easily try to force his way in there as well. But a very good run off the top there for Kane. He's going to get clear.
That is a great defensive move by Kane to stay in front of the two, especially on the outside. We haven't seen a whole lot of that today. It does happen at this racetrack, but not super frequently, so a good move by Kane and showing that speed still as he retains 6th.
Started to close up to the back bumper, the 01. Gonna try to make a move to the bottom and couldn't quite stick his nose underneath on the entry, but on exit, look at Casey Kane. Look at that car go. 38. Now fighting for the top 5. And we've seen it a lot this season with Casey Kane, having to fight his way through the field. A lot of adversity in races, but Casey with a cool head, able to keep that car underneath him, continue to move forward. Great job.
Yeah, another spectacular run through the field by Casey Kane here today. 21 car went into the pits, so we're seeing a pit stop out of him, as well as, well, not quite Thompson Jr. yet. He hasn't come into the pit lane so far, but David Green ducks in to mitigate the damage after he lost a ton of time on the track, staying out on the older stuff. Kane now has a chance to chase after Mayfield for 4th.
Casey Kane
for Tony Stewart, by the way, who is now 2 seconds ahead of the 17.
As it looks like the top 3 cars have really pulled the gap, but Tony Stewart especially gone. Casey Kane really needs to get a move on to try to mitigate any sort of points loss that would result from a Tony Stewart win that starts to look more likely by the lap.
Absolutely. 20 laps to go here from Rockingham as Kane sits behind Mayfield in the 4th position. Kurt Busch, of course, got to mention every single one of the other championship leaders as the 01 runs just behind in 7th. A little bit more damage for him, and he needed to make up points, especially given that Stewart was already in front of him and Kurt was 3rd. A handful of extra points behind the 38 car, so now he sits behind your points leader. Down the rest of the order of drivers who are looking like they're going to lose spots in the standings, Jeff Gordon is running in the 18th position at the line. He just passed John Andretti for that position. He's got Robbie Gordon right in front of him. In 17th, Kevin Harvick runs in the 14th position right now. Thompson Jr. into the pits, so you were right. We're probably going to be seeing one more pit stop. Just depends when. Might be around 10 to go, so a late money stop for these guys late in this race.
To the 38 versus the 20. It's been a tale of 2 seasons. Very different, but yet so strong for both of them. Casey Kane, winless so far this season, but has been more consistent than anybody, and it's resulted in him taking the points lead. Tony Stewart, with 6 wins, has had more winning speed, but slightly less consistent than the 38. So, very different seasons, but both very deserving of a championship. We'll have to see where this goes, not only after this race, but as the rest of this season progresses. It'll be very interesting to watch.
Absolutely. It'll be just 3 races left in the season following this one. We head to Vegas next week. It'll be California race number 35 and race number 36 at Miami for the Ford 400 to finish off the year. This is as close of a championship battle as we've seen in years. And pretty much everybody, even Kurt Busch and others, still well within the realm of winning this championship with a handful of races left. So we will see how it goes from there. But Tony Stewart trying to cruise to what would be his 7th win of this season. And he is comfortably in front of Kenseth, although that gap almost halved as Kenseth sits 1.2 off of the 20 right now. Trying to do his best to close that gap in what little laps he has left in this race.
And very well come down to this money stop.
Couple of back-end cars in the pits, 07 and 50. Couple drivers in. So we're looking like we're going to see this final pit stop, and it'll be interesting to see if anybody elects to take 2 tires instead of 4 with how late in the race it is. we will see what the strategy is going to wind up being. 20 and 17 still on the racetrack, the two leaders right now.
And it's worth mentioning earlier on our last green flag run, our green flag pit stops, Matt Kenseth had the best stop of anybody, was able to get well clear of where he was before. And as that gap starts to shrink for the lead, you wonder if it's possible that you could see the 17 jump the 20. And that's exactly what Casey Kane would want to see. It would take a lot because it is a big gap, but you have to wonder how this will play out, not only for the top two, but throughout the field, as every position matters for a multitude of drivers who are within the realm of possibility of winning this championship.
Casey Kane just got around Jeremy Mayfield, who slipped up the racetrack 3 wide as Morgan Shepherd rejoined the racetrack right in front of the 01 and 48. And you're going to see some of these slower cars on better tires start to pick up spots. Kurt Busch as well. Another important position for him. He gets past Mayfield. That would be for 6th. And a lot of drivers in this mix who are picking up positions on the fresher stuff. Casey Kane having to deal with both the 30 and 89 as, man, that was tight. As Atwood rejoined the racetrack right in front of those two. Kane had to go all the way up the racetrack. Smart move to back out, give some room, although he might be under fire from Kenny Wallace for the position right now. 24 came in for a pit stop as well. Tony Stewart and Matt Kenseth still on the racetrack, and Kenseth is closing fast on your race leader with 10 laps to go.
Yeah, that 17 extremely quick on the long run. We'll see. Now, with pit stops looming ever closer, it's just a matter of when, and Chad Little is within the realm of possibility of winning this race as well with a good pit stop. I don't think he'd be able to do it under green, but if they have a money stop here, it could be very possible for the 28.
Absolutely. Casey Kane dropped a couple positions there as we were prying away looking at the race lead. Struggles for him as he dropped backwards a little bit. Fell behind Kurt Busch, who's now in front of the 38. Important points for the 01, who now runs in front. Kenseth still not too far behind the 20, although he lost a little bit of time as Presley worked around him. All the race leaders still on the racetrack. Here comes that 07 to get around the 20 car, as well as the 89 of Morgan Shepherd getting around Matt Kenseth. And we'll now get to work on trying to pass the 20 of Stewart, and dives it underneath. Gonna waste no time. Stewart way up the track. That opens the door for Kenseth to close back in. Casey Atwood now right behind the two leaders with a chance to get around and get back a lap here. But the 17 right on the back bumper. Atwood pushes the 17 up the track. I thought Kenseth would have an opportunity to get underneath Stewart, but he couldn't. Atwood slips past the both of them. That opens the door for Kenseth for the race lead with just 6 laps to go.
Kenseth lost a little bit of time there in 1 and 2. You'd imagine he's not exactly happy with Casey Atwood jamming it in like that. But the 17 looks to be quicker than this 20 right now. Just has to try to find a way around it, but he doesn't have much time.
5 laps to go here from Rockingham as the 17 and 20 sit just so close for the race lead. Here is David Green trying to go around the outside. More cars on fresh tires looking to get around the race leaders. Kenseth probably has the preferred line here, so not losing too much time. Trying to close up on that 20 of Stewart. Still side by side with David Green. 4 laps to go. You gotta imagine he's thinking either pass me or stay behind. And that 21 just unable to get around the 17 of Kenseth, who also has the 50 of Derek Cope filling up the mirror right now, and Stewart is pulling away while the 17 works to deal with these two.
Yeah, definitely not an ideal situation for Kenseth. I certainly don't envy him up here in the booth. But a fast race car just has a mirror full of Derek Cope and David Green, not able to focus on trying to win this race. Very strange situation playing out here, but Tony Stewart has started to check out again with just under 2.5 laps to go. or sorry, 4.5 laps to go.
Would be 2 this time
2.
as Tony Stewart takes 2 laps to go, but David Green closes up and is going to take away the top from Stewart like he did to Kenseth. That might open the door for Matt to close up, and he does a lot down the backstretch. This will be the last lap this time by if Kenseth has anything for Stewart, continuing to close up for the race lead. But Derek Cope is going to go around the outside of the 17. This might cost him a chance at the win. Last lap. No, Cope is going to pull all the way up to the 20 of Stewart. Does this open the door for Kenseth? Down the backstretch for the final time. Does the 17 have anything for him into turn 3?
To go higher, not quite. Tony Stewart off of 4.
He's got it
7th
made.
win.
Tony Stewart, 7 wins on the season. He takes a win as well timed as ever to take the checkered flag here today. His 7th of the season. Casey Kane finishes in front of Kurt Busch in 4th. A great damage mitigation performance for him to get the top 5 here today. And Kurt Busch as well, who will finish in 5th. The 3 best championship contenders all finished as well as they could have asked. All 3 of them in the top 5. Jeff Gordon fell to 28th. He was one of the drivers who hit in, I believe, or was a long way back, so a lot of points lost for him. Kevin Harvick in 27th as well. Robbie Gordon comes home in 14th, so all the drivers who are outside looking in, losing points in today's race. And the main 3 all pull away, all with top 5s here today, but Tony Stewart is the main one to talk about today. His 7th win of this season just continues to rack up trophies this year, and he closes the gap to Casey Kane for the championship lead with that victory here today, but not by much, with the 38 finishing in 4th. But that'll do it for coverage here today with Tony Stewart winning your race here today, the Pop Secret 400 at Rockingham, coming to a close with the 20 in victory lane. On behalf of Nate in the booth joining me today, I'm Caden Reif. We'll catch you next week. It'll be Vegas for the Checker Auto Parts 500. We'll see you then, and as always, have yourself a good one.